Good evening. It is Wednesday, April 7th, 2021, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm, and with me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
So, there it is. You're waiting for that? You're waiting for the studio audience? That's all you needed? Okay. The affirmation you needed. We are live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, www.lambsports.com. You can find links to the past shows, and the current trivia question is on there. First segment of our show, as always, at least I think, is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting facility at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamm Sports Show. The Range, educate, equip, and empower.
Real quick, do you know who else has a 34,000 square foot facility? Mark Wahlberg's house. 34,000.
And maybe just as many gunshots. We don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole lot of shirtless people in there. That's all we know. Right?
At least one.
At least one. So we got some things to talk about, and I didn't even know where to start. I had a hard time piecing it all together. I'm like, there is so much information here at the beginning, just information that needs to get out. But the NCAA crowned their men's and women's national basketball champions. Major League Baseball is in full swing, pun intended, except for the COVID thing, and we're looking at you, Washington Nationals, for holding up the beginning of the season. Blazers lost a big game last night, and they have another one tomorrow night. Talk about that. All of that, plus NHL, NFL, MLS, the Masters is coming. It's this week. And a discussion on why professional sporting events take so long and or the review replay process. In professional sports. So we're going to talk about all of that. That's our plan. Yeah, you good?
That's a good plan. Yeah, I'm pretty solid on that.
Okay. I mean, it's a lot of information. We're gonna be handing out a lot of information, so everyone's got to pay attention. Listen up. This is really important. So, Gonzaga and Baylor played for the men's basketball championship, the NCAA basketball championship, Monday night. And Gonzaga's dream season came to a extremely loud, screeching halt with an embarrassing 86-70 thrashing at the hands of the Baylor Bears. Baylor was more physical, faster, hit more threes.
Looks like it.
They raced out to a 9-0 lead, and if you turned off your TV at that point when it was 9-0 and went to bed, you really didn't miss anything.
It's true.
I mean, they never got closer than 9 again.
Didn't look good for the Bulldogs.
I mean, so much for going, 300-0. If you can't win the last one, it doesn't do you any good.
Look, I'm just saying I predicted this. I predicted the downfall of Gonzaga because I don't think they're a truly competitive. I don't think that they're capable of winning those games.
So did you have Baylor beating Gonzaga in your bracket for the championship?
No, I didn't have Baylor getting there at all. My crap bracket with Michigan, Purdue in the final, and royally screwed me.
So then I'm going to say you didn't predict it at all.
I didn't predict it at all. Once we saw the Final Four layout, I figured Gonzaga was going to get past UCLA, and I also figured Baylor should get past Houston. But that's when I started making the proclamations, to the land, that Baylor was going to win.
Was it on a scroll and everything, a parchment, something? You can't make a proclamation without a parchment, I don't think. So, also, this weekend, in case you missed it, the women's NCAA National Championship, that was Sunday, Easter Sunday. Stanford beat Arizona in an all Pac-12 final. 54-53 to win their third national championship. It's their first since 1992. It was a game of runs by both teams. Stanford was ahead. Arizona battled back. Stanford shot back ahead. Arizona battled back. It ended with the Wildcats' Ari McDonald shooting a three from the top of the arc that caromed off the rim and ended Arizona's, well, unexpected tournament run. Let's call it that.
They did pretty well. That was the
Yeah.
best shot they could take at the end.
Well,
Triple teamed,
yeah.
around heave towards the hoop. You couldn't get anything else. You're just
To
hitting that one hand.
to to be fair, that the head coach for Arizona said exactly that. We were riding her no matter what. That was it. And the Stanford coach would have said the same thing. I know it's going to her. We better put 6 people on her. So, yeah.
That's
It
what they did.
yeah.
It worked.
I,
It was a terrible final possession.
it was
To
to lose.
I couldn't believe it. It was a good game.
Plus, I also kind of thought they might. They didn't have a whole lot of time. There was only like 6 seconds when they started possession of the ball. So, I mean, it wasn't a ton of time to do a lot of things. But I kind of feel like you need to set the other team up and say, hey, look, we're going for 3 with our best player, but somebody needs to slip down inside so you can make a pass. You only needed a basket. You only needed 2 points to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like there was, use a decoy. But, there's that thinking. You got to either decoy with your best player or you got to put the ball in the hands of your best player at the end. And they did, and they lost. So, no, but it was good for the Pac-12, and I think the Pac-12 showed in both tournaments how really good they were, and I think it was good. That's good for the West Coast basketball. So I'm happy with it. How about you? I lost. Okay, so
I'm happy with Pac-12 doing all right, but it could have been better.
it was a way better game to watch the women's game than the men's game. So if you didn't watch it, you missed out, but you should have watched it because that was a better waste of your 2 hours. So, I mean, if you're going to waste 2 hours, that was probably a better one. Let's talk about Major League Baseball for just a minute, shall we? And I don't even have it up. Look at that. See, I done screwed up everything already. You believe that? It's easy for me to do because
I can believe it a little bit.
I can believe it a little bit. Let me just fix my technical difficulty right here, and then we can talk about Major League Baseball. It won't take but just a second.
Apparently, the star of the show can't be heard.
I don't get any applause. You're the star of the show.
That's true. I mean, you could also cue it up for yourself.
I could. I have something else for myself though. It sounds like this. So I have that on standby. Somehow I thought this was going to be easier than it is at the moment. It's not really being cooperative, but we're gonna get there anyway. So, like I was saying, Major League Baseball is in full swing. These are your current American League standings. The cheating Houston Astros, 5-1, off to a great start again, getting harassed everywhere they go. Some fans the other night were throwing trash cans on the field. Where do you get them? Where do you get a trash? How do you get a trash can? Or did you just go up to the just go up to the concession stand area and grab them and take a? Wouldn't you think security? Anyway, I don't know.
The last guy brought in
an inflatable trash can. Yeah, that doesn't. All right. All right. I mean, yeah.
Never looking at going to a Mariners game. The only game that was really on our docket was the Astros game.
It would be fun. But everybody's doing it, so now you're just kind of bandwagon people. But they are out to a flying start at 5-1, leading the American League West. American League Central, it's Minnesota at 4-2, but that division's always kind of down to the last minute anyway. You don't know who's going to win that one. That'll be an all season kind of thing. And then the AL East, which probably has the best top to bottom talent, and they're all about 500 too. So I mean, it's early, 5 games, right? You don't know, 5-6 games in, and then there's the
Too early to tell.
And then there's the National League. We're looking at you, Washington Nationals, who are 1-2, because you couldn't play the series against the Mets. The opening series got postponed. So both teams 1-2. The Mets lost to the Phillies today. Phillies are 5-1. They're off and rolling. Cincinnati is 5-1, and I wouldn't have told you that Cincinnati was that kind of a team had we started the season. It's always the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Brewers. One of those teams is the team to beat, right?
Yeah, it always seems like the Cubs or the Brewers start hot and then the Cardinals come on late.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about Cincinnati, but they're on fire early. Dodgers 5-2 lead the West. There are games in progress right now. I don't know if we really want to talk about any of those games, but we could talk about what's happening right now. Bottom of the 10th, Orioles Yankees 3-2 Orioles. Yankees are up to the plate, and they just tied it, by the way. At the end of the 10th, it's 3-3. So they're going extra. Free baseball in the Bronx. Rockies are beating the D-backs 5-0. The Braves beat the Nationals 7-6 and 2-0 in the makeup game that they were supposed to play. So Braves sweep. Reds 11-4 over the Pirates. Indians 4-2 over the Royals. Red Sox 9-2 over the Rays. Twins 3-2 over the Tigers. And the moral of the story you're hearing here is if you scored 2 runs, you lost the game today. So, anyway, Phillies beat the Mets 8-2. It's not very exciting. Cardinals shut out the Marlins. Mariners did win 8-4 today to even their record at 3-3. There you go. And let's move. So one of the things we know about Major League Baseball is that they moved the All-Star game because of the voting rights bill that they passed in Georgia. The state of Georgia passed. Very strict voting bill. It's going to restrict access or make it harder for people to vote, especially if you're left-leaning and in a certain demographic. They've made it much more difficult. One of the things when I was reading the bill, one of the things when I was reading about what it does, it literally says that you can't provide water or food to people waiting in line to vote. And I was like, what kind of unhuman or inhumane crap is that? I mean, just because they're waiting in line to vote, we want to make sure that they pass out so they can't vote. Really? Well, those might be your people. I mean, I don't understand, but that's one of the things it said. Literally, you can't provide water to them. I'm like, that's so dumb. We don't want you to vote, is what they're saying. Or maybe I'm reading it wrong. Anyway, Major League Baseball, they passed the law in Georgia. Major League Baseball yanked the All-Star game out of Atlanta. Greg Abbott, who you're looking at here in multiple pictures, the governor of Texas, was supposed to throw out the first pitch at the Texas Rangers home opener, and he said, no, I'm not going to do it because Major League Baseball made it political. Just go throw out the first pitch. Just shut up and pitch. You're making it political now, right? It's two people doing it makes it right, I guess. I don't know. And he's not from Georgia, so what does it matter? So anyway, long story short, we had some interesting. Uh, just now reading your text message. Sorry about the volume. We're having some volume issues, and I apologize. I don't know what to do to boost your volume, your input. So let me see if there's a way to do it, and I don't know if there is. Unfortunately, microphone, speakers, all the way up. Everything's up. Okay. It's an amateur podcast, and we're just learning. I got a brand new sound mixer, and maybe something's not recorded right, not hooked together right. So I'm trying to figure out what it is, and I have no idea what it is. But I guess we'll just move along and see what we can do about it. We're talking about the NBA. So NBA standings currently, as you look at them, there's the Eastern Conference. Still Sixers and Nets battling for that top spot. Milwaukee Bucks win some, they lose some. They're hanging in there. The East hasn't improved a whole lot, but everybody is hovering around that 500 mark in the Eastern Conference. It's been the same that way for what, 3 weeks now, 4 weeks? Yeah, it looks all the same. So I really don't know what to make of it. I still don't know that the Nets can pull that off. They haven't shown me that they could just come out of nowhere and take over. So I don't know. The Sixers seem to be winning just as many games. So
the Sixers are pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But it's all gonna change when playoff time comes. There's a big push ahead of us.
It's true. Utah Jazz still in first place in the West, 38-12 after losing to Dallas on Monday night. Phoenix has caught up quite a bit. They have won 6 straight, and they're 2.5 games back of first place. And they play tonight. Utah and Phoenix should be playing right now. Portland plays tomorrow night against Utah, at Utah, in another big game. They lost to the Clippers last night, and rather easily lost to the Clippers last night. They gave 47 points in the first quarter.
Yeah, and the Clippers shot like
Yeah.
80% in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was lights out.
what are you gonna do?
It was lights out at that point, and it's just one of those games where they had a chance to make a move. That was a big time chance last night to gain a whole game. You lost a whole game on the Clippers. Clippers were struggling, kinda, but yeah. So, and even the Lakers won last night. So when the Blazers lose, that's another game. The Blazers were only a half game behind the Lakers. Now they're a game and a half back. So
Classic Blazers.
classic Blazers. Got to capitalize on your opportunities. You got to beat Utah, I think, on tomorrow night. I think that's just a must. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it would be nice to see them pull something off. I want to go into a trivia question because the Blazers on Sunday beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they beat them bad. They
Didn't look good.
they beat them. They beat them 133 to 85. For those of you keeping score at home, that's a 48-point win. And it was the worst loss in Oklahoma City Thunder franchise history, which, by the way, includes the Seattle Supersonics. So that's a big loss. 48 points is gigantic. Anyway, so that brings us to our trivia question. And the trivia question is brought to you by Stave and Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Right? And they're open both locations now. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, 7 days a week, 12 to 6 for patio dining. The downtown tasting room is at 210 Oak Street. And they're open 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. Go to staveandstone.com, check out their selection of award-winning wines, or make a reservation and go taste for yourself. Call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750, or email them for more info at staveandstone.com. So, trivia question is this. Are you ready?
Yes.
What is the largest margin of victory in an NBA game? And
I don't know.
and what two teams did it? It was December 17th, 1991, if that helps you.
Okay.
So, largest.
You answer it now, or are you gonna wait till the end?
We're gonna wait till the end. We'll give you the answer at the end. But 48 points was what the Blazers won by, and that victory is in the 30s in terms of total, the amount that they won by. So, if that helps you at all, I don't know if it will. It was a pretty large amount. It's pretty amazing that a team can actually lose by that much. If we go and look at the NHL standings right now, currently, you're looking at the Honda West. Colorado has overtaken Vegas. That's a major thing, but Colorado's won 5 straight, and those two are battling it out pretty much for the top. Minnesota was in there for a while. They're struggling as of late. We'll see what happens with that division, but it's been a tight one. Discover Central, Florida, and Carolina, and Tampa Bay all within 2 points of each other still. The Scotia North has Toronto. That's like the biggest lead of all these divisions. Toronto has a 6-point lead over Winnipeg, 7 over Edmonton. And then the Mass Mutual East. Washington Capitals and the Islanders, who've come out of nowhere, they've won 3 straight, tied with 54 points. Pittsburgh in third at 50. Those 3 teams kind of duking it out. Don't forget about Boston. So we also want to cover the fact that the MLS is going to start playing next week, the 16th, 4/16. So April 16th, Houston versus San Jose, Seattle versus Minnesota. The Seattle-Minnesota game is actually on TV, not on ESPN Plus. I think it's on Fox. Almost all of the games in MLS will be on ESPN Plus. So if you don't have an ESPN Plus subscription, you probably won't be able to see very many of them. The occasional game on the weekend is what you'll get. But Timbers open the season with Vancouver on the road on Sunday the 18th. So that'll be their first game, and we'll let you know how it goes.
Sounds right.
It sounds right. So we want to talk about one more thing before we go to what we really want to discuss, and that is that the NFL is moving to a 17-game schedule, and I don't know what to make of it. It was something that was included in the CBA, the bargaining agreement, and this latest one that was ratified in 2020. And I don't know. I mean, other than money, I'm not sold as to why they decided to do it. Why have we decided to make an extra game? Do you know?
Money.
It's just money.
And it's that much more clarity in close divisions. It really is. I mean, when you have an extra necessarily in division, but when you have an extra game, period, there's just a little more of a record to look at.
I guess so. I guess that's one way to look at it.
You guess so. It is.
It just seems like an extra, an extra game we're throwing in, and then they're gonna move the playoffs. They're gonna expand the playoffs to 14 teams instead of 12. There's another extra game, and
It definitely seems like a bit of a money grab. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't, it's been 16 for so long. What was it? What is the extra game for? Now, you're gonna say, yeah, they're gonna shorten the preseason to 3 games. Yes, they're gonna do that, and they're gonna make it. The season length will basically be the same. There's still gonna be a 1 bye week for every team. I was kind of hoping that if they added a 17th game, they just get rid of the bye weeks. But I don't think you'll be able to do that ever because the players won't allow that probably now. They enjoy, I'm sure, having a week off. Um, I don't know. It feels weird to me. It feels it's going to be awkward. Now the thing it will eliminate is a team that's 8-8, and that can be good in terms of tiebreakers or whatnot at the end of the year. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I feel like
I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to be more fun to watch more football. And I mean, we talk about all the time how these guys are overpaid. Well, if they're really overpaid, then let's go ahead and make them play more games, right? Let's make it worth it, or let's stop complaining. Why are people upset about a 17 game season? I couldn't possibly understand why not you, but why people who think they're whiny millionaires, why they think it's a problem.
yeah. I
Like I have no sympathy for anybody who has a problem with the 17 game season unless it means your team's going to lose more. Sorry, Jets fans.
and yeah, I mean, well, the Jets are that's a whole nother thing that we don't even want to get into at this point. Um, yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I haven't decided how I feel about it yet. I don't I want to like it, but I at the same time I'm like we're just adding extra games for the sake of adding extra games that really aren't necessary. And that extra playoff game is just dumb. You add one more team makes the playoffs and makes more money, and we get a broadcast one more football game. But why 7 and why not 8? Why are we doing 7 per conference? That doesn't make any sense to me. 14 teams is a dumb number. It's not even. Someone gets a bye. Oh, we're going to reward the number 1 overall team and give them a bye. Well, is it really that big a deal to get the bye? They were getting the bye before, right? You're taking
It's not a deal breaker for most dudes.
you're taking away the bye from the number 2 team is what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? And making them play an extra game, which just keep it the way it was, or go to 8 so that everybody plays the same amount. That's the way I look at it. But then you can have 2 more games. Uh,
See, I'm in favor of that. Let's just go to 8. More
just
playoff teams in. That way my Broncos are going to get a chance to
go
get in.
go back to 16 games and go to 8 playoff teams per conference. World's good. That's what I would have done, but that's just me. Nobody asked me. They don't come to me and ask me anymore. They just stopped. Um,
Yeah, they've been avoiding asking me for years.
I know, right? NFL.
Like they don't like me or something.
Roger, better call me. That's all I'm saying. So the last segment of the show is brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune into bosskittylive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday, which if you tune into them at 6 p.m., then you can tune into us at 7. It's perfect. And 11 a.m. every other Sunday for fun, fiber games, tutorials, the occasional F-bomb. Something big is coming from Boss Kitty. Make sure you keep listening to our show. We'll keep you informed, and keep watching bosskittylive.com for more details. Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarns so boss you'll knit your pants. So the last part of the show, we want to talk about a number of things, and it's because we're going to a 7. You've already lengthened my NFL season now, right? And now it kind of really didn't. I guess you're taking away a game from the preseason. It didn't make the season any longer. It's still the same amount of length, but it feels like it's going to feel longer. The question is, why do the games take so long, right? Maybe we could make the games a little shorter. Is there a way that we could make it a little better? I mean, a little. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Why do you think the games take so long in the NFL? Is it just commercials?
I think it's primarily commercials. I don't believe many things have that much of an impact. Maybe the play clock's too long. Maybe 45 seconds or 35 seconds, whatever it is too long. Maybe they need to hurry up. But I think commercials are the big thing for it because you have a kickoff, then a commercial, and then maybe you get a touchdown fast, and then there's a commercial. So if things happen right, you could have 3 or 4 commercials and then 2 2 minute span, and that's just preposterous. That's so much commercial time, and it feels longer when you're at the game. I think because you're sitting there watching the players just like stand around. But when you're at home, you start doing something else for a few minutes, and then you go, wait, when the heck is this game coming back on? I think it's almost entirely commercial because it's a time for you to zone out, and then when you start realizing that you've zoned out, when you finally tune back in, you're thinking, man, this is taking forever.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's a number of factors, and definitely commercials is one of them. And you know as well as I do. You hate when we scored a touchdown. We're gonna have a commercial, right? While they review the scoring play, and then and then we're
Like I don't want to see the review process.
and then we're gonna kick an extra point. We're gonna have a commercial, and then we're gonna have a kickoff, which is a change of possession, and we're gonna have a commercial. I'm like, oh my gosh, can we just keep playing? I mean, but that's their natural breaks. I mean, that's the natural break in an NFL game is a scoring play. That's when you have a timeout, basically. There aren't enough, I guess you'd call change of possessions, and they do a timeout almost after every almost change of possession, a punt or a field goal or whatever. So, but I feel like they're that just save it for the interception, the fumble recovery. As soon as there's a change of possession, you go to commercial and stop messing with the touchdown part, right? And so that we can get through the touchdown kickoff thing, and because that seems to be where you just, it's almost like they don't want you to watch the extra point.
Right.
I mean, they moved it back to make it more interesting, and then they said, well, but there's going to be a commercial in front of it and a commercial after it, so you're probably going to be in the toilet or at the refrigerator anyway. So we really
Yeah, I
don't.
don't understand trying to eliminate the kickoff and then have a commercial. Like, just eliminate it then,
Right.
and let there just be one commercial, and
Right.
then it starts.
Yeah, because you want people to watch the commercial, don't you? But that's the only breaks that you guys give us is that time of the, and I'm gonna go get something to eat or drink or whatever. So I feel like it could be better the other way. Um, One of those things. So I sat there and I was making this list of what makes a game long in the NFL. You have scoring, so lots of scoring makes a game longer. Penalties make a game longer. Um, Injuries make serious injuries make the game longer. Um, Review makes the game longer, and there's been the same amount of timeouts forever, so the timeouts aren't really a thing. But if you look at the average NFL play, how long it takes, it's about 5 or 6 seconds. The game, an actual game play, an average run or an average pass play,
Right, from height to
right,
whistles.
takes about 5 or 6 seconds to complete, maybe 7 if it's a long play. But I mean, an average is probably about 6 seconds. So every time you're watching a football game that is 60 minutes long, right? And let's say each team has, I don't know, 70 plays.
Right.
So there's 140 plays at 6 seconds per, right? You doing the math on this?
No.
Me either. There's a there's 840, right? 140 times 6, there's 840 seconds, right? Which is 14 minutes. So
Right.
the game is 60 minutes long. The NFL clocks 15 minutes a quarter. It's 60 minutes long. You're going to see 14 minutes of game action. Everything else is huddle or it
Waiting. Yeah.
yeah, waiting. Yeah. Cuz the rest of the other 46 minutes where the clock is running is literally huddle, right? There's nothing else but huddle or, I don't know. But it's not, the after play things, I guess. When the guy gets tackled and they get up and they're walking back and they're calling plays, that's all. I mean, consider that all huddle, but it's all pre-snap stuff where there's nothing going on, and that just blows my mind. It's a quarter of the game where there's actually anything going on, as opposed to an NBA game, which has quite a bit more, or a Major League Soccer game, which is almost all action. It's going all the time. The only thing slower is baseball. However, however,
I'm tired of that.
However, in baseball's defense, we're going to talk about baseball for a minute, but in baseball's defense, if there's a runner on base, everything is still live. So technically, if there's a runner on base, he can steal second at any point in time unless there's a timeout. So the ball is still live. There's still action that could happen. In an NFL game, if they're not up at the line of scrimmage, they can't snap the ball yet.
Like that, you're gonna call it action. There's still
Well, a potential for action.
yeah.
It's potential action. It's not. You know what I mean? It is boring. You're absolutely right. And each pitch takes about what? But from wind up to catcher catching, it takes about 3 seconds, maybe 4. And so
Like that. It takes longer for him to get it back and chill,
right.
and then go through everything he's doing than it does than it does them to actually just throw the ball.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that happen, and every what so every sport now has instant replay,
Right.
and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about was instant replay. And one of those things that I wanted to talk about, we were talking, you and I were talking about refereeing last week, and how it plays in, and how we feel about the refereeing, the state of refereeing, and what they're doing and what they're calling and the way they call things. And right now, I'm looking at replay officials in general because I feel like that slows the game down, not just like a timeout. You know, a timeout slows the game down, but a replay doesn't have a set time limit. I'm sitting here reading all the rules from all these major sports, and what they all say is they're going to try and do it in 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to figure it out. But if it takes longer, that's okay. I guess the idea is you want to get the right call,
Absolutely.
but
Should be the idea.
but can't we just go with what the call was on the court when the shot clock expired and you said no shot? Can't we just go with that? Why do we got to go review that? Why is that a thing? Because that seems like one of those minor infractions, especially if he misses the shot, or you know, I mean, if he's going to make the shot, then yeah, it's a thing. You got to go check it out. Was it out of his hands? I get it, but I don't get it. There's just so many things that we could just let the referee have it, right? Now, who to go off of and go out of bounds? Possession, right? Okay,
Those are tough ones.
I'm in that. I'm there with you, and that we want to get that call right, whose ball it should be, right? But those calls are going to average out. Those calls, you're going to get some, and you're going to miss, and you're going to lose some.
That's not the attitude to take. That it should just average out. It should all be right, even if it doesn't average out.
Here's the thing though. Here's what I'm saying. If you have a game, let's take a whole season. You have a whole season, and you have replay on every time the ball goes out of bounds, right? And we're gonna see this team A and Team B, right? Let's say they played 82 games against each other. Team A is gonna have X amount, and Team B is gonna have Y amount, right? Okay, I'm willing to bet you that if we took replay out of it and you just let the officials call it on the floor, Team A is probably still going to have X amount, and Team B is still probably going to have Y amount. It may not be the exact same ones. This one got overturned. This one didn't get overturned. But they're going to have the exact same amount of possessions. Just about.
Yeah, but that's because officials don't call the game accurately. They call it to even it out. You keep using the phrase even it out. They're going to even it out. It'll be
Uh,
about the same.
I,
You know, that's stupid logic to have. Call the game. If it's even, cool. If it's not, you called it.
that's not what I'm.
That's what it is.
I'm not saying the officials are going to control it. I'm just telling you that it's going to even itself out. Their law of averages is going to even it out.
Going to is what makes it wrong. It should not just even itself out. Without a doubt, one team's going to commit more penalties than the other. 90% of the time, it's going to be one team more than the other. The team that's losing is going to commit more holding penalties, without a doubt. So the fact that it just evens out every game is some bizarre miracle or wrong.
If you want to, yeah, if you want to interpret it as the referees are making it even, that's fine. You can do that. But what I'm telling you is the law of averages says it's going to even itself out. That's what's going to happen. Those calls will even. You got a bad call here. Yep. Well, you're going to get one later. It's going to even itself out. Not they're going to give you one. It's going to just be a bad call the other direction at some point in time. It has to happen, and so. It should even itself out no matter what. And 99% of the plays are right. They call it right anyway. There's going to be that.
They do a pretty good job.
There's just going to be that small percentage in all sports. There's going to be that small percentage of plays that they're going to get wrong, and it seems like there's more. There's more wrong. Just pointing a finger, but maybe the NFL gets more wrong because you watch it and replay and you go, oh, this is clearly that, and they go, no, it's going to stand on the field. Well, the call on the field stands. Well, if we're not going to overturn it, then why have the replay, right? Just because maybe we can overturn one, and the NFL says 4 out of 10 replayed reviewed plays get overturned.
That's not true. There's no way that's true.
4 out of 10. That's what they said since I don't remember what year, in the last 10 years or something. So,
Ask all those coaches challenges that didn't get overturned from a
but
couple years
but they're
ago.
but they're not just counting the coaches' challenges. They're talking about, did it break the plane? We're reviewing it to see if it was a score. Did he catch it? We're going to stop it as a booth review because was it a turnover? They have to review those plays anyway. So they're talking about all of those plays, and
Right.
and so and I put up a slide here that you can see when it comes back around here, or we can actually probably just stop it. It it If I can stop it at the right place, we'll stop it. It has a picture of what is and isn't reviewable from the NFL, and it
Seems like most things aren't.
yeah, so it's surprising to me how many things are reviewable in the NFL, and how many things aren't. And yeah, there's coaches challenges. You have to use coaches challenges for certain things, but certain things are not challengeable. But here's your example. This is the actual what's on the screen now. So this is reviewable plays in the replay system. The replay system will cover the following situations. So anything involving possession. Did he catch it, or is it incomplete? Did they recover the fumble, or did they not recover a fumble? Right? Do they have possession of the football? Did he drop it before crossing the goal line? That kind of thing. Plays involving touching of either the ball or the ground. Pass plays, right? And did the ball did the ball hit the ground before he caught it, or as he was running, did he fumble it? Did his knee hit the ground? Right? That kind of thing. Plays governed by anything at the goal line, anything that might be a scoring play, anything that might have been out of bounds, anything at the line of scrimmage, which is, were they offsides? Did they jump offside? Plays governed by the line to gain. Did they make the line to gain? Was it a bad spot? And then, of course, number of players on the field at the snap, you know, game administration stuff. There's penalty enforcement. Did they do the penalty right? Is it the proper down? Did they spot? Was the spot of the foul correct? Is the game clock correct? All that stuff is administrative that the booth does. But there's a lot of things you can review. I mean, it's constant. And yeah, the coaches only get what, 2 challenges? Is that right? And then if you get them both right.
One challenge per half.
Yeah, and if you get them both right, you get a third one. Still.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they're assuming in that instance that you've clearly been more right than them.
Right. And right.
So that's your opportunity.
And they give you a free striped shirt. But also one of the things I wanted to talk about was the NHL. So here's what the NHL does. The NHL, every play is challengeable, or not every play. I don't want to say that that's not true, but almost all the things, penalties and this and that, they're challengeable, right? And the coach has to initiate the challenge, with the exception of the last minute of regulation and the last minute of an overtime period. Okay, those can come from the booth. Now, here's the thing: they're unlimited. You have unlimited challenges.
Right.
However, the first one you get wrong results in a penalty. It's a bench penalty. It's a 2-minute minor penalty for your team. Everyone after that you get wrong is a 4-minute double minor. So someone has to sit out for 4 minutes. So the other team gets a power play if you get it wrong. I love it. I love it. I'm like, that is perfect. Why don't we do that in the NFL? Why doesn't the NBA? Oh, you challenged it and it's wrong, so you wasted our time. It's and the NHL calls it delay a game, which it basically is, right? If you challenge it and you're wrong, even though, and some of those coaches' challenges, you watch them throw the flag and you go, there's no way that's going to get overturned. It's not, right? There's no way. And you challenge it and it doesn't get overturned, or you get that it goes the other way. There needs to be a penalty, right? More than just, oh well, you're going to lose the chance to get an extra challenge in the NFL. Why don't we penalize somebody? Make it if you challenge in the NBA and you're wrong, it's technical foul, bench technical. Boop. The other team's shooting a free throw.
Yeah, that's not fair though, because and you've seen that half the times the officials are just unwilling to commit. So here's what I'll give you: if you're challenging that it was a fumble when it wasn't, and they come back and say the call is confirmed, maybe. But if it's a stand, no way in hell if you're unsure, you can penalize me for you being unsure. That's a ridiculous notion. No, penalties for challenges is stupid. It's a stupid idea. I don't like that at all.
I think there has to be some sort of penalty. Well, and the reason the NHL does this is because they're unlimited. You can do as many as you want.
Right, and guess what? They don't do them all that often.
Yeah, they don't do them all that often, but
Hockey's also don't have a ton of stoppages in play. If a game
uh,
is going, a period
yeah.
can go by altogether before a commercial.
There's quite a few stoppages. They just aren't that long.
Well, but what I'm saying is it's really dependent on flow and things like that. Like it could happen, but most of the time, yeah, you got like 6, 7 minutes of action before you get a real stoppage.
Yeah,
That's the way it seems, anyways. I know it's not accurate, but it's the way it seems, and it's just I don't.
yeah,
Football needs to learn to let's string together a couple drives and then go to a timeout.
right,
Maybe 2 or 3 drives, and then we'll go to timeout. It doesn't have to be every possession change. Just let's move it along.
right, and then and the NBA, for that matter, needs to learn. Well, the NBA doesn't do it. Let me back up. NCAA basketball, right?
Right.
NCAA basketball has built-in TV timeouts, right? That are mandatory.
The 4 minute mark. Yeah.
Every 4 minutes. Yep. So we start with 20 minutes. So 16. There's a 12. There's an 8. There's a 4. Right.
And it's at the next stoppage of
The
play.
next stop.
After you cross that.
Right. So we play. Let's start at 20 minutes and we play for 4 minutes and at with what with 50. Yeah. There's a foul. They're gonna go to commercial. Right. And they will. So here's my problem with that. Having those built-in timeouts is great, but you also give everyone 5 timeouts a half.
Right.
So now, there's 14 timeouts that can be called in one half, in each half. And you know as well as I do that at 16:10, right? The ball you call timeout because you fell behind and you want to change the momentum, so you call timeout, right? And you inbound the ball and you run down the court and make one play, and there's a foul at the 15:59 mark. We're going to another commercial. Jeez. We ran one play, and now we got another commercial, and it just kills me. That whole stop and go thing, because it's mandatory that the next time out we have to have a commercial. That's ridiculous. Space it out a little. I mean, it can be under 16 timeout. Could be at 14 minutes. It doesn't have to be the first available. I mean, if they just had a timeout, make it so that it has to be a minute from the last timeout, or 2 minutes, or whatever. But they don't do it that way. I don't know. That's that whole flow thing that we talk about. It's hard to get into a flow when there's a mandatory timeout that you know is coming the next time there's a foul or the ball goes out of bounds or whatever. And if you've already had timeouts, and especially at the end of the game, because there's more timeouts at the end of the game, end of each half, it has significant more timeouts. Possessions become, for some reason, more meaningful. I'm of the belief that if you score enough early, you don't have to worry about timeouts later. But that's just me. I'm old.
Somebody's gonna score less.
I'm old.
They're gonna disagree.
I'm old school. If you get, you don't have to use any timeouts if you're ahead. The other team wants to use all the timeouts. So, but yeah, it's always going to be that way. And if it's close, both teams are using timeouts. So, yeah,
Being fair, there is a strategic timeout late in the game, like maybe they're going on a run or something like that, and you're
right.
trying to ice them out a little bit. Like it, I don't know. I feel like it works. I don't like the pace of a lot of our sports, but I don't know what the solution is other than less timeouts. Less timeouts means less commercials. Less commercials means less money. Other than less money. I don't know if you're ever in your entire life going to convince somebody to take less money.
Yeah, you're right. And
I think that's the problem.
here's the number I was looking for earlier. So the NFL says that in 2020, the average length of review was 2 minutes 26 seconds, and that four out of 10 reviews were overturned since 1999.
Right.
Okay, but 99.1% of plays required no review. So, the one thing that
It's just a long game.
yeah, it's just a long. The play clock is too long. It really is. It takes them too long to do that, and then the TV timeouts, like we said, if you get a high scoring game, and that's what the NFL wants, that's the way they've been going. When you start making it so that everyone passes the ball all the time, there's more scores that causes more timeouts, and it feeds on itself, and that's what drives these games long. If you got two really good running teams, right, with two really good defenses, we might not have any timeouts, so or very few. The game's going to be a lot less scoring if you got teams that or just two great defenses, unless you have a lot of turnovers, because that's all of a sudden they're going to go, oh, well, there's an interception, we're going to call, oh, there's a fumble, change of possession, we're going to have a timeout. You know what I mean? And I've also got this little chart right here for the Major League Baseball, which shows you what can be reviewable and what isn't. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous. If you just read through them and you're like, all that can be, yeah, it can all be reviewed. The coach can
Yeah,
challenge all that stuff.
but just because it all can be reviewed doesn't mean it all gets reviewed
I,
every game.
and you're right,
They may review one foul ball.
right, but it's just one of those things where you could, if you have the challenges, you can challenge the crap out of it. And I don't, I'm not a big fan of instant replay, other than it does help get the call right sometimes, right? Sometimes that's necessary, but a lot of times it's not. And
Also,
and
in 2019, there were 222 NFL challenges. Of those
challenges.
222, they only overturned 87 of them in favor of the coaches.
Yeah, that's about
That's it.
about
But an
40%.
independent review determined that about 70% of them should have been overturned.
Well,
Which means not only are they
did,
reviewing them and then continuing to make a piss poor decision,
did well did
we're
the
celebrating
let's
that because we like that it doesn't take as much time.
let's back up. Did the independent review have to do all those in 2 minutes?
What do you mean, like do all the reviews in
Yeah,
2 minutes?
yeah. Did they review the reviews in 2 minutes? You've got 2 minutes to review this call. Go. And if you can't,
2 minutes and what seconds?
2 minutes and 2 minutes and 26. Yeah. So
So they had 2 minutes and 26 seconds to
right.
review it.
I feel
I'm sure that they were able to look at. I can't tell you how many times I looked at a play and gone, "That's pass interference,"
right. Yeah.
and then they review it and go, "Nope, there's no foul for pass interference." And you're like, "Well, you're wrong." So there's that.
Yeah. And you're right. We
It
we
happens every single game. We see something. How many times is Tom Brady intentional grounded?
yeah.
How
Intentional.
many times have they called it? And if somebody did throw a flag on it, how many times have we seen him pick it up?
But they got to stop changing
Because there was kind of a
that
receiver out
rule.
there.
They got to stop. They got to stop making that rule offensive friendly. That's part of it. You know.
What we talk about. You need to put the ball in play past the line of scrimmage.
Right.
It cannot go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like that's going to force you to have to make a tackle towards people.
Right. Yeah. I think that's right. Well, you want to make it even better? Make it so it has to touch somebody.
Has to hit somebody.
Yeah, it has to hit somebody. Yeah, you can do that, but now it's illegal touching by a lineman.
So it has to hit an eligible.
It has to hit. It has to hit either an eligible receiver or a defensive back.
Oh, I can't wait for that first review where there's cleat. See? There's cleat right there.
it grazed his lip. Do you see it on the replay?
That's right.
It just barely touched his face mask. You can see it right here. See it change direction?
Bouncing around and touch. Speaking of which, did you see that? Not slightly.
Cutting out on me.
But with the ball that went right through his legs.
You're gonna have to start over. You cut out and clipped out on me. I think.
Gotcha. So the Houston Oregon State game, there was a call with the ball go right between his legs and touched his jersey,
Right.
and they called it out off him. I've never seen that before.
I'm not even sure it did touch his jersey. It feels like it.
I think it 100% did.
It may have.
That was
It's part of the guy. Yeah. It's part of the player.
yeah.
So
We're gonna have that sort of situation in football.
which is why you wear short shorts. I mean, I don't know.
That's why you wear tighter shorts.
Well,
It doesn't
okay.
have to be short. It has to be tighter.
Yeah, you're right. They just need to be not so baggy. Yeah,
Right.
that would be good. I don't know. Hey, one of those things. One of those things we're going to talk about, and I didn't get to it, but we're going to talk about it right now, because why not? We're already all over the place. So, you and I got into a spirited conversation. Let's call it that, about Montrezl Harrell
Montrezl Harrell, the punk,
and
beating everybody.
and his run-ins recently with Dwight Howard or this time it was
Obi
uh,
Anunoby.
yeah or Gary Trent Jr.
Well, yeah, he actually shoved Gary.
Right, right. So I wanted to show everyone two clips, and just for fun, because why not? And I've got both those clips of those two events. The Dwight Howard, it shows it's. We're gonna look at that one first. So he had a run in with Dwight Howard of the Sixers, who used to be for the Lakers, and Montrezl Harrell, who plays for the Lakers, had a dust up, let's call it, in a game where they were, they banging on each other pretty much all game and bumping on each other, and Montrez took exception to Dwight Howard being up on him on an inbound play, and he tried to push him away and didn't want him. You know what I mean? It was two guys being, butt heads to each other. Let's call it that. And so they're going to show you that happening, and then they're going to show you at the end of the quarter, players are going to their bench for the timeout, and they bump into each other. And Dwight Howard picks up a second technical and gets ejected. But we're going to look at that play, and I'm going to show it to you Hold on to that thought. We're going to do it right now. You ready? So here it goes.
Well,
So,
during that timeout, Dwight Howard was ejected from this game. Those two going at it, Harrell and Dwight Howard, and that bump right there. Official Kane Fitzgerald comes in and ejects Dwight Howard. And Ben Simmons also picking up a tee. So that just happened during the timeout. After that, we had a chance to visit with Doc Rivers, Reggie.
so the beginning of that shows the pre stuff. The first time, the first dust up, and then the bump on the way to the benches. They're both wrong. Let's be honest. And
But that's just it. You can't say Dwight is wrong. You can for sure say Montrez is wrong, but you can't say Dwight is wrong. You can assume, you can think, you can hope, whatever you got to do to get there, but you can't say it with certainty that Dwight did something knowingly on that bump on the way to the bench. You can't say that.
well, I'll tell you
I
this.
say that Montrez shoved him, full extended arms,
Yep.
shoved him.
Yep.
I know that happened.
I can tell you that
With intention.
I can tell you that I can tell you what I see from that thing, and that is Dwight Howard initiated contact.
Right, but that's just it. If you have to preface it with what I see, this is how I interpret it, what I'm taking
I,
out of it. If that's how you have to preface it, then you're clearly reading into a situation. That's kind of the point here. But you're clearly reading into it. Do you have to read into what Montrez did?
it would
No, because it was blatant.
it would be hard to interpret that another way, because Harrell's in
I interpreted it another way.
Harrell's
It worked for me.
Montrezl Harrell's in front of him when he makes contact. How do you not see him? And his head's up. You can see. Let's look at it again.
Ow.
Look right here. I'm gonna rewind it, and we're gonna go right to that spot where he's walking off the court. Right about here. You ready? Right, here it comes.
Going at it, Harrell.
How did he not see him?
Howard, and that bump right there.
How did he not see him? He walking right head.
If he saw him, the fact
He,
that he bumped into him isn't egregious in and of itself. I
it,
bump into people in grocery stores. If somebody
it,
turns around and shoves me, they're the aggressor. Yes.
only if it's only. Okay, hold on.
And then they shove you, they're actually the aggressor.
Hold on.
You made a mistake. And
Let
it's
me
possible that Dwight made a mistake.
let me preface this. Let me say this, because you're making it sound like two guys who have never seen each other before bump into each other at the grocery store, and he turns around and shoves you. You're absolutely right. Dave, thank you. If you had a dust up with this guy in the produce aisle, and then you bumped him on the way out the store, and he turned around and shoved you, that's different. That's an absolute different thing. And you can say he's wrong, but clearly you could have avoided him. If you could have avoided him, would you have?
But what was the bigger problem? Was the bigger problem
That Dwight Howard did.
bumped into somebody,
Yeah.
or the bigger problem that Montrez shoved somebody?
No, it was a big.
We're all thinking Dwight is the aggressor here. He started this second confrontation.
He started the first one.
Again, debatable. I thought he was just playing defense. That's how you see it. But it doesn't matter. In the second one, the one that got him ejected, the one in question,
Okay.
this is two times Montrezl Harrell shoved somebody. And then Montrezl Harrell goes out in this next game against the Raptors and shoves somebody else. I'm seeing a pattern here of aggressive behavior by Montrezl Harrell.
So here's the
The common denominator being Montrez.
here's the second part. Here's the game against the Raptors, Lakers Raptors. This happened on Monday night, I think. And there's a long pass coming down the court after what probably should have been a Toronto foul. That's what the Lakers were saying. But there's a breakaway here that's about to be stopped by Dennis Schroeder.
Right.
And then what happens afterwards, we'll show you.
They say play on, length of the court, and that's a foul. Oh, whoa.
That should be a flagrant.
Look out. That was OG, and that is a wrestling move, taking down Schroeder.
Schroeder was holding him up, and I don't know what he was thinking. He actually almost.
So a couple of things. One is, to be honest with you, if Schroeder didn't grab him around the waist, he actually got the ball. He actually has his left hand on the ball, but he grabbed him. He wasn't trying to foul him. He was trying to stop him from scoring. Had he not grabbed him, it was a block. But anyway, so he grabs him, and it was a hardish foul. It wasn't super hard. It wasn't like you've seen guys take a guy out. He was trying to keep him from making an easy layup. So that happens, and at that point, he's trying to hold Anunoby up, right?
Right.
he clearly is not trying to let him not hit the ground. And so
That kind of looks like, but OG Anunoby's damn near on the ground anyway.
it's true. It's true. And then he, of course, grabs his leg and picks him up and drops him. And then,
I don't even understand that.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he did that. So then Montrezl Harrell comes in to try and save, quote unquote, his teammate, which that's what he's trying to do. You know that's what he's trying to do. But he pushes the wrong guy. He pushes
Runs in and shoves Gary
who now is in the middle of it because. But let's be honest here. So there's a lot of things to break down here. Number one, that foul didn't need to happen. Okay, I get why you did it.
Talking about Schroeder.
Yeah, the actual personal foul. Just I mean, if that's what we're gonna do, then why give anybody a layup? Why don't you always grab a guy when he tries for a layup?
I think that's a real issue. I think it
Okay.
doesn't really matter.
I
think he fouled him to try and stop him from scoring.
Yeah, sure.
Is what it is.
Right, but I mean, why don't you do that all the time? Why, if you're gonna do it on this play?
That many fouls to give, you know that.
There you go. So why was this play? These 2 points were more important. That's my point.
Because it was a breakaway. You don't want a big momentum booster on
Yeah,
the side.
no.
They won this game, and this was a big moment for it. So
Yeah, okay.
I have no problem
they're-
with him, Schroeder, trying to foul him. So
They're ahead by 14, and it's the first quarter.
just saying.
Okay, all right. But I feel like he could have just not fouled him. That would have avoided the whole situation. Then you have Anunoby pulling his leg and dropping him, lifting him up and dropping him. That didn't need to happen, right? And then you have Gary Trent coming in, knowing that that's going to be a situation. What does he do? Does he go grab his guy and pull him out the way? No, he doesn't. He goes and touches Schroeder. And not in a mean way. I know what he's trying to do, which is separate the two. But why are you trying to separate the other team's player? Get your own player out the way, not the other team's player. So then Harrell comes in, trying to get the other team's player out the way, right, and stand up for his guy. Stop doing that. If the NBA would make a rule and say, hey, you can't touch another team's player during one of these situations, it's an automatic technical foul. That would end it. That would just end this.
Ridiculous though. In this instance, OG, you could see it. Watch his posture, his mannerisms. He did not mean to hurt anybody. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Nobody knows what the hell he was doing. It's definitely weird, and it definitely is a foul. Don't get it. But he clearly didn't mean to hurt him. But Schroeder got very angry, very fast.
Yeah, because it didn't need to happen. You don't pick somebody up and drop them.
Because he felt like maybe it was intentional.
You're right. You don't know.
Now, if you're Gary Trent, you're going to run in there and put your back to the angry guy. That sounds smart because OG's trying to
That's not.
oops, my bad. And you're going to turn your back to the angry guy who may, throw a haymaker
Oh,
over your ear?
okay.
Trying to get to OG? Hell no. I want to move Schroeder out the way because he's upset.
Right, but
He's
now,
the one who's angry right now.
but now the rest of his teammates see another player from Toronto after he just got picked up and dropped. Another player from Toronto is pushing their player around.
And Montrez wants any opportunity to fight.
All right. So that being said, let me just tell you that what I know of 2021 is that Dwight Howard has 13 technicals this season, and Montrezl Harrell has 7. So if you want to tell me that Montrez is the instigator and he's the fighter, but Dwight Howard has twice as many technical fouls this year already. So
Until he's not a Laker, I don't care. You're not going to give me a stat that makes that much sense to me. He's a Laker. He's on LeBron's team. He's not going to get penalized the same way. You know how many personal fouls you see Caruso make? I always want to call him Robinson Caruso. Caruso make? I see tons every match. He never gets called. As long as they're a Laker, I'm not buying it. There's definitely NBA bias, and it extends well over into these teams because they need to keep the Lakers in this. Otherwise, what, you're losing LeBron and Anthony Davis from your playoff contention? No way in hell. Lakers will be in the top 4 seeds because the NBA will ensure it, and one of the ways they ensure it is by how they call fouls.
okay, I don't agree with you.
I can't buy it. But either way, you're going to talk about Dwight Howard's technical fouls. There's 2 in 1 game.
Yeah.
There's 2 in 1 game, and I'm not sure he deserved either one.
Okay, so then
Montrez should have had 2 in that game as well.
okay, so then he only has 11. He still leads the league.
Okay, Montrez should have 1 more for that game.
Okay, then he has 8. You're right. But he has
Talking about 11 to 8, it doesn't look as big a difference.
he has the same number as Kyle Lowry or Rudy Gobert. I am not being nitpicky.
What Montrez did here was run into a situation that was kind of tilting. We didn't know which way it was going to go. Schroeder was clearly mad. OG was whatever he was in that moment. It was strange. Gary Trent was trying to chill out him, and he brought a level of aggression and hostility to a moment. He escalated the moment. We always talk about de-escalating. Everybody needs to de-escalate situation. That's not what Montrez does. He makes it.
That's not what Gary Trent did either.
He needs to be punished for that appropriately. He's making situations worse.
Okay.
Gary Trent ran up to Dennis
And-
Schroeder. Did he run up and shove him?
Yeah.
He just ran up and put his hands on him.
Oh. Back up. There. You want me to show you? Because okay, let's back up. And
Let's be quick.
oh, I'm sorry. You have somewhere to be. So hold on. Let's back up. What you didn't go far enough back. Didn't go far enough back. We're not quite far enough, so we're gonna have to go all the way back to here. Watch Gary Trent. There's the push. There's the push. He's still pushing him. Tell me Gary Trent didn't just push him out the way twice.
Push who?
Schroeder.
No, it didn't look like that to me.
Oh my gosh, we're not watching the same clip, you and I. Watch him.
One more time. I don't want to see it again after this.
Well, watch Gary Trent and nobody else.
He's leaning down.
What? Wait, here it comes. There's shove 1. There's shove 2. Did you not see those?
It elevates our things and they start to clip a whole bunch.
Did you not see what I just said? He pushed him twice. After the play.
Pushed him. He's bending down to help him up.
That's before he pushes him. You're not watching long enough. He bent down, he got up, he got hit from behind by Harrell or pushed, and then he pushes Schroeder twice out the way. You're gonna have to go watch it again because I don't understand. I don't know what you're looking at. It's bad. He pushed him twice, and he should have gotten a technical too. Because if pushing a guy gives you the technical, he should have got one too. So you had an intentional foul that is a technical foul. Let's be honest. If you're going to grab a guy who's trying to score, right?
It's not called that way, so
I understood, but it should be.
It should be, but we're not gonna talk about what it should be. We'll talk about what it is.
Okay.
We'll talk about the fact that is kind of a non-factor. The fact that Schroeder fouled him does not matter. All right, that happened. No one was upset about that. No, there was no problems with that.
Well, clearly Anunoby was upset about that.
Picking him up.
He was clearly upset about it. Or
You think OG was upset, but I don't.
okay. But why would you pick a guy's leg up?
I think he was just being a dumbass, being goofy, being silly, being something like that. I don't know why, but it did not look like he did it aggressively. I have body slammed someone before.
He didn't body slam him. He knew when he picked him up that he was wrong, and he was too late for him to stop it.
Agree, disagree. We'll move on.
All right. I'm just telling you, it was bad. It looked bad. That whole situation was bad. Could have all been avoided, but you got a bunch of people who got angry quickly, and there was a lot of people who laid hands on people they didn't need to lay hands on, and there should have been more guys with penalties for that. But that's not how we do it, apparently. So that's all I'm saying. If you're going to give Harrell a technical foul for what he did, he didn't throw any punches at anybody. He did push a guy. You're absolutely right. But so did Gary Trent. And what's his name picked up a guy. He got thrown out for it. Right? So all that contact, all that stuff underneath, when somebody pushes somebody, and there's more that we haven't even looked at from other players, they all should have gotten a technical foul. That's not how it worked. So that's just there's no way to maintain control if you're not going to maintain control. So
Right. And it starts with guys who escalate situations, getting them out. Fine. Technical for Gary Trent. You're out of here. No, don't even technical. You're tossed, bud. You're tossed. Montrez, you're suspended. That's the difference there. Gary Trent, what? Maybe he shoved Schroeder on the ground. I didn't see it that way. I saw him trying to help him up. Clearly, the refs went back and reviewed it and saw it that same way. All right, either the refs are wrong or we're wrong or something. I don't know. But I saw him just look like he was trying to help him up. And then Montrezl Harrell came and blindsided him and escalated the situation for the second time in 2 weeks. Suspend Montrezl Harrell. If you want to punish Gary Trent for being involved, fine. But understand the levels to which people were involved. Gary Trent was not trying to beat someone's ass. Montrez was. There's a difference. And that's the problem that we're failing to see here, that we're failing to see eye to eye on, is that Montrez isn't being cool in these situations. Even if he's upset, you can still be cool. He's not doing that.
I'm not.
He's losing his head and he's being a violent person.
I am.
I'm not okay with that.
I am not trying to defend Montrezl Harrell in any way, shape, or form. He deserves.
You teeing up Gary Trent, it also will suspend Montrezl Harrell.
He deserves what he got because he shouldn't have been in there. But if
Suspended, because if you're going to give him the same thing you're going to give Gary Trent, that's not right. He deserves more.
what did he do? What more did he do than what Gary Trent did?
He came in and blindsided somebody. He instigated a fight and then shoved a couple more people. And then when
There
the
was-
official went to put his hand on him, smacked the official's hand
Okay, then if you want to call that part with the official a separate foul, that's fine. I don't have a problem with
The
that.
officials reviewed all of this.
Yeah.
All of this in a big lengthy review that takes up so much game time, like you talked about. They reviewed all of this, and what they determined was that OG did something stupid, and no one knows why. So we're gonna tee him up. And kick him out.
That's my
And Montrez escalated the situation in a really unnecessary way. So
Right.
we're gonna kick him out.
and that's where you and I disagree is that you are giving Anunoby the benefit of the doubt.
It's just because I didn't see anything in his posture.
Got it.
I saw something in his action. The action's weird.
Right.
But like you said, it's
The
weird
action
how he does that.
the action's not
He didn't have this angry look on his face. He didn't slam him to the ground and stand over him talking shit. He just slammed him down, or he picked his leg up, he fell to the ground, and then he reached down to grab him.
Yeah, he
Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I did not mean to knock you over. Maybe I was. I don't know what he said. I need the NBA mics to pick that up because I know they did. I need to hear it.
yeah,
There
I'm
was something said there because it looked like he reached his hands down like, oh my bad. And then
yeah,
sorry,
that's what I was telling you just a minute ago. When he grabbed his leg and had him in the air, at that point he realized, "Oh crap, I shouldn't have done that." Right? And he knew it was too late at that point.
He did an aggressive thing.
He did.
Then realized he shouldn't have done it.
He absolutely did.
Aggressive thing might
Or
be-
he wouldn't have bent down to try and help him back up
Agree to disagree.
because he knew there's nothing else. I don't have anything else for the show, so it doesn't matter.
You gotta do the trivia question.
Yeah. So that's what I'm telling you is I saw a guy doing something intentionally mean and realizing halfway through that he didn't mean to do that. He didn't want to do that because he knew he was going to get in trouble. Well, that's what happens.
Is what it is. Everyone got what they got.
So, answer the trivia question. Largest margin of victory in an NBA game.
Is
This-
that 91?
December 17th, 1991. What two teams? How big was the margin? What was the score?
Early season stuff.
I guess, yeah, a little bit.
Let's say Chicago Bulls did it. It's about that time, and let's say the margin of victory was 52.
Okay, so the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Miami Heat 148 to 80.
That's not what I thought it was gonna be.
68 points was the margin of victory. Second on that all-time list was the Indiana Pacers 124, the Portland Trailblazers 59. In 1998, February 27th.
Always on the wrong side of history.
Yeah. So that's number 2, by the way. Yeah, Cleveland Cavaliers. Mark Price, Craig Elo, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, senior. You got to say senior now, right? You got to say senior now because we got a junior. So anyway, that was the largest margin of victory, and that if you didn't get a chance to see it or you want to see a link to that particular statistic, there'll be a link on the webpage. You can click on it and go look at it. That is all we have for today. We're going to be back next Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
And Wednesday the 14th.
Hopefully with less technical difficulty.
Well, I hope so. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about the Masters because it'll be over. We'll have a champion. We're gonna talk about Major League Baseball. They're still gonna be playing. Hopefully, they'll get through their little preseason COVID issues, and we'll have a lot better. We'll have more games. NBA. It's going to be nearing crunch time shortly. In another couple weeks, we're going to be talking about playoff push, right? And we'll be headed that direction. The NHL is also heading that way towards crunch time. So pay attention to the sports. We're going to bring you what we know. We're going to come up with a couple of interesting things to talk about again next week. On Wednesday, April 28th, which is 3 weeks from today, we're going to have our NFL draft preview. The NFL draft starts on Thursday the 29th. So we'll do our NFL draft preview. I think that's kind of like where we started last year, almost. I mean, almost like taking us through a full year. So we're going to do our NFL draft preview show. We'll do a little mock draft of the top 10 picks. You won't want to miss Parker and I becoming general managers and / owners for an hour or so because it'll be awesome. Right? So again, we are live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show, and you can email us, lammsports@gmail.com. We want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stavenstone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.